Electric Fire Chapter 28 The End.
Sonic ran over to me. Curiosity had the emeralds in his clutches. Curious about what these emeralds are. These are very powerful, so be careful and don't let them take control of you. I believe that you can use these to turn supers and they'll turn your fur in a shiny yellow color. You'll be more powerful in that form. I went super once before my creator ended up having to hide the emeralds afterward. But this is our only chance at defeating the Bilaster, okay? I don't think I'll be able to defeat him on my own even though I'm strong. Now let's show this thing what we're made of.
Alright, Shadow. I'm with you on this one. I'll give it all I got.
He smirked a bit. I only nodded before closing my eyes. He did exactly what I did. Now clear your mind. 3-1. I looked up. It worked on me. I was glowing a full-on yellow. My red stripes were visible. Sonic was also able to. He was glowing a bit brighter than I was. Some lighting was also coming off him in small sparks. I forgot to mention that we'd be able to fly. Just took off outside to where the Bilaster was. Sonic followed. Right behind. This was our chance on saving everyone. But when I looked down at the planet, I just felt an emptiness. I felt I didn't belong there. I knew Sonic did, but me. Everyone just saw me as a monster. They were more welcoming to Sonic though. Sure, Tom and Manny welcomed me, but if I went back after this, I knew I didn't have a future there. Nothing but lab tests or being put in isolation again. I had a choice I'd have to make after we beat this Bilaster. The Ark was getting closer to Earth. Sonic was trying to set up a barricade. By the look of it, I joined beside him. At first we weren't able to see the Bilaster as the Ark zoomed toward us. I could make out something on the Ark. It had an aura around it. Something was definitely there and its power was causing the Ark to come toward us. It hit us, but our strength wasn't enough. We had to attack the creature. But first I allowed myself to take off both the inhibitor rings that were on my wrists. I had to use Chaos Control to get the Ark back in place. Sonic, go and attack it. Keep it distracted. I'm going to teleport the Ark back. Sonic dashed off and started to attack the creature. It was now or never. I could hear a faint voice in my mind. It was Maria's.
Do it, Shadow. The fate of the world depends on you.
I couldn't let her down. I closed my eyes and called out,
Chaos Control!
I felt the tears start to stream and I heard another voice, Sonic's this time.
Case Control.
The Ark was back in place to where it was before. Now our next task, defeating the Bilaster. I don't think I could have done the teleportation of the Ark by myself. Seems Sonic can also use it as well. I joined his side in fighting the Bilaster. It was much more powerful with my rings off. We took turns attacking the Bilaster, though we also dodged its attacks. Finally, after some time it gave up and while it exploded and able to handle our energy, the Ark was able to withstand the explosion. It barely got any scratches or dents. Seen Gerald had done a good job on building it. Sonic and Egg changed glances. I could feel that my eyelids were getting heavy. I knew I wasn't going to be able to stay in the air for much longer. My rings were the reason why. They kept me from using too much of my energy. Now with them being off for as long as they were, well, all my energy is being drained. I held the rings in one hand. I could feel them both there in my right hand. I didn't have the strength to put them back on, nor did I want to. Sonic turned away from me for a moment to look at the Ark. Astonished that we had actually done it, we put the Ark back and also defeated a powerful being. In that split moment he turned away. My body found that it had no strength left to keep me up in the air of space. My body was still a glowing yellow. I could feel myself plummeting, but there was nothing I could do. I was starting to feel the effects of sleep, but then suddenly something awoke me a bit. A sudden jolt as I felt a hand grab the rings I was holding onto.
Shadow, say something.
I looked up slightly to see Sonic. He still had enough strength to keep himself up in the air, probably because he didn't have to worry about letting off too much energy. Let go. My voice was almost a whisper. I was so tired I couldn't speak up much. Let me go right now. I spoke up a bit this time. At least I tried. I had my eyes closed. I could feel the tears stream again. I knew what I was doing. I was losing a friend because of this choice.
Stop it. I'm not losing you, Shadow.
I couldn't look at him. I didn't have the heart to do so. Our friendship was starting to shatter. Yes, Sonic, you are. I replied coldly, though I really meant well for him. He's probably the only one to have gotten to know the real me, though Tom and Maddie got to know me a bit as well. You need to stop for a moment, Sonic, and think. I mean, you have a choice. He was still trying to pull me up, probably thinking he'd take me back to the Ark. What's worth more? A tainted life that never fulfilled its purpose. A life that has no future. I took a breath of air for a moment before actually looking up at Sonic, though my eyesight was growing dim. Oh, the million of lives down there. Tom, Maddie, Ozzy, Tails, Omega, Carl, and Rouge are all down there too. They all still have a chance and a future to look forward to thanks to you and me. I didn't have much strength left at this point. I could barely move, but I managed to grab a Chaos Emerald from my quills and hand it to Sonic. He took it in his free hand.
Shell, that isn't true. You have a future. I don't want to lose you.
He was trying so hard. I could feel that my body was returning to normal. That would be my future. They wrecked my life before. It's best if you let me go. I'd rather be in charge of myself instead of being a lab experiment all over again, or put in isolation again. You're free though. Besides, who knows? Maybe we'll see one another again someday. Please take care of Omega and Rouge along with yourself. I could tell we were nearing the Ark. I mean, he really wanted to save me, but I didn't want to be saved. I looked up at him one last time before letting go of the rings. By now my body was almost completely my normal color. Goodbye, Sonic. I spoke before plummeting downward.
Shadow!
He called out, but he realized he didn't have the strength to come get me. He was starting to lose his super form. In a flash of light, he was gone. He most likely used Chaos Control. I was falling unconscious again. In my mind, I said something along the lines of, Maria, this is what you wanted, right?
Sonic's point of view.
I made it back to Tom and Maddie. They were talking with the commander, got hold of the rings and the emerald. Seemed I was able to teleport as well, only by the power of this chosen emerald. I have Shadow to thank for teaching me it. I just hid the emerald in the back of my quills like my friend had done. I don't know what fate the other chosen emeralds have. They could probably be plummeting to Earth now. I just wanted to go home. I felt like I was empty inside. Kinda like how I felt back when I lost Longclaw. I just walked over to Tom and hugged him. I could feel the tears starting up, which was a bad sign. My fist started to let off some sparks of blue lightning, but I somehow managed to keep myself under control. I didn't cause any power outage this time. Not even a small blast. It wasn't long before I was taken back home. The car ride felt long. I mainly stared out the window, not very talkative for a while. I sat in the back of Maddie's car. Tom drove, though Maddie sat in the passenger side. She glanced toward me sometimes, but not a word had been spoken. Shadow's rings were on both my wrists. I knew his bucket list was still at the house. Only thing on it that wasn't crossed off was seeing snow for the first time. Everything else was pretty much marked off. I ended up falling asleep on the way home. Seems I was free and I can actually still live here on Earth in the town of Green Hills like how Shadow promised. This is my home once again. There is no place I'd rather be. My name is Sonic the Hedgehog and this is our story. Mine and Shadow the Hedgehog's, my friend and the only other hedgehog I knew aside from myself. Thank you for reading. I'm sorry that it had to end this way.